This is the inner sanctum of the Gaddafi family. Much evidence here of a decadent lifestyle. Now a rebel commander plays where Gaddafi's sons used to party. This compound of opulent beachside villas is dripping with every luxury imaginable. It's been ransacked, but still looks like a villain's hideout in a Bond movie. In one, we find rebels sharing out hundreds of bottles of fine Bordeaux and Cristal champagne, each bottle worth hundreds of dollars. But amid all this decadence, there were acts of unspeakable cruelty. This house belongs to Hannibal Gaddafi, and what went on in here was truly horrendous. Meet Schweigar Müller, a 30-year-old Ethiopian nanny who describes how she was horribly tortured by Hannibal's wife, Aline.
She took me to a bathroom and she tied my hands behind my back and tied my feet. She taped my mouth. And she started pouring the boiling water on my head like this.
Her crime, she says she refused to beat Hannibal's toddler who wouldn't stop crying. Schweigar says she was actually scolded twice. The most recent episode was 3 months ago. Her wounds are still raw and weeping. She appears to be in desperate need of medical attention.
There were maggots coming out of my head because she had hidden me and no one had seen me. And then they found me and put me in the hospital.
But then she was discovered and brought back, and the guard who helped her was threatened with prison if he took her to hospital again. Co-workers backed up her account.
I worked for a whole year. They didn't give me 1 penny. Now I want to go to the hospital and I have no money. I have nothing. She said, no money for you. You just work.
Is this the true face of Colonel Gaddafi's regime? Amid fantastic wealth, sadistic brutality apparently meted out even to those trusted to look after the dictator's grandchildren. Dan Rivers, CNN, Tripoli.
Let's head back to Libya, where our senior international correspondent Dan Rivers has an update now on the story of Schweigar Müller. Now, she's the nanny who says that she was brutalized while caring for the children of Hannibal Gaddafi. Dan joins us now live from Tripoli. Dan, you've been visiting her in the hospital. How's she doing? What did she tell you?
She's doing okay. I mean, just to recap for people who are not familiar, this is a nanny who looked after the children of Hannibal Gaddafi, who was terribly burnt by, she says, by Hannibal's wife, Aline, boiling water poured over her head. We've got some fresh picture of her now. She's in the burns unit in Tripoli hospital. This is very graphic images. I must warn viewers before we roll it, but you can see now that she's got a dressing on and they're beginning to treat it. They say there is an infection there, so they're giving her antibiotics intravenously and hopefully trying to stabilise those infections and get her on the mend. So she's in a much better place now than she was when we initially found her. When we found her, she was just on a mattress on the floor in the compound of Hannibal Gaddafi's house. And of course, we're going to stay with this story and keep everyone updated as to what happens. And we've been, you know, inundated with offers of help, so that's great. And we're trying to kind of sift through those and figure out what's the best thing for her.
Gosh, Dan, poor thing. I'm glad she's doing better. Let's just focus on one of the other stories, which is the Gaddafi family in Algeria now. Why Algeria?
Yeah, I mean, well, firstly, geographically, there's a huge kind of porous border over to Algeria. The Algerians have not recognised the National Transitional Council yet, so I suppose there was a sense that they are, in some ways, still friendly with the now fallen Gaddafi regime. We're told by the Algerians that Hannibal Gaddafi, who you mentioned in connection with the nanny, another son, Mohammed, Aisha, the daughter, and Saifa, the wife, have all crossed over into Algeria. There's no word yet on whether Eileen as well, the woman who is alleged by this nanny to have poured the boiling water over her has also crossed into Algeria, or whether she is elsewhere. We just don't know where she is at the moment. But that's the latest that we have on them. Obviously, the big question that is left unanswered is, where is Colonel Gaddafi himself? Has he also crossed over and the Algerians aren't saying? Or is he elsewhere, somewhere in the south perhaps, or in Sirte? We simply don't know, I'm afraid. Slowly, slowly, she whispers as they unwrap her dressing. What you're about to see is difficult to watch. God only knows how painful it is for Schweige to endure. The entire top of her head is burnt, and many of the wounds are infected. The nanny to Hannibal Gaddafi's children is, thankfully, now in a hospital burn unit in Tripoli. She's finally beginning to get the antibiotics and the care she needs. This is how we found Schweige Muller, abandoned in the Gaddafi family compound with horrific burns she says were inflicted by Hannibal Gaddafi's wife, Aileen. She told us how boiling water was poured over her head, punishment for failing to keep a Gaddafi grandchild from crying. An account corroborated by co-workers. But now she's already sounding more optimistic. She says she already feels better than before. Well, it's great to see that Schweige is in a much better place than when we found her yesterday. But it's also clear she's got months more treatment ahead if she's going to have any kind of a normal life. These photos show her terrible condition when she first arrived at the hospital in June. They were taken by doctors who started to treat her, but the doctors say they were bullied into stopping treatment by Hannibal Gaddafi's staff.
After 3 days they came and threatened me here, and they said we have to discharge this case, or otherwise we will have a lot of problems.
Despite the threats, a guard later brought her back secretly for more treatment. When the Gaddafi family found out, doctors say they were again ordered to stop treatment. This video was taken by a doctor a week ago, when Schweige finally made the treacherous journey to a clinic through the fighting. Doctors say it was too dangerous to get to the burns unit, and she was sent home after her dressings were changed. Dr. Roida Zawiya took that video and is damning about Hannibal and Aileen Gaddafi.
There's no humanity. They are so, I don't know, actually. Maybe they're insane. Not sure.
3 weeks ago, that candor might have brought a death sentence. Now they're free to speak and to care for Schweige Muller. Dan Rivers, CNN, Tripoli.